What is going on YouTube? It is FlopFish here, and welcome to an NHL gameplay commentary, and something I haven't done in a long time, and I'm excited to bring them back. And today we are going to get into the widely debated topic of player classes in EASHL. This is probably one of the things I see the most common, at least complaint, criticism on anything EA posts, the EA NHL team posts, whether it's a Facebook post, whether it's a Twitter, whether it's like something on Twitter, whether it's a tweet. I mean, heck, you can see this to pretty much any single thing they've released as far as NHL 17 goes, or anything in NHL 16, or even if Rammer tweets out like a generic tweet, someone will be like, yo, why did you get rid of the old player class system? So I haven't really seen anything that kind of sums up both sides and kind of why each system is good and bad. And so I decided, you know what, I want to talk about this. It's something that I think, is good to talk about, and it's something that is productive to talk about, and something that, given the fact that the NHL feature set list was just released for 17, is very key to talk about right now, because it is the time to talk about it. Let's go ahead and kind of get into an overview of the old system and kind of the new system as well. So for those unfamiliar with the old EASHL system, your players would gain attribute points through leveling up, through playing games, through winning games, through boosts. Boosts were unlocked by achieving certain goals, like for example your plus minus being a certain rating, or you having a certain amount of shots in a game. Like say if you had 100 shots, you'd get an increase to your shot power or something, or your shot awareness, and there came in increments of +3, +5, and +7, and you could only have a certain amount of boosts applied per kind of thing. So there's like different slots for your skate, stick, your body, helmet, stuff like that, and that's kind of how you leveled up your player. Again, you got it through achieving these side goals along the way, and you achieve them through leveling up. And again, the old system was mainly based on that grindy progression based thing where you unlocked attribute points at each level. You kind of leveled up, and you went from, I believe it was rookie 1 all the way to legend 3. There's pro, veteran, all-star, and legend, and you kind of got your different cards along the way. And, getting to Legend 3 was quite the grind. Even getting to Legend is quite the grind. I think it's like 250 plus games played and a bunch of wins. You had to have your grade at a certain level. So not only did you have to play the game to level up your player, you actually have to play the game and be good at the game to level up your player. Immediately, this creates an inherent flaw in the system, because players who pick up the game in September have a significant advantage of someone who gets it later in the year. Say in like December, if you pick up the game in December, you'll notice a huge disadvantage in the old system. And that's just because, a player got the game, they played it more, they had a better player than you, and you just be simply outskated. And it wouldn't be for your personal lack of skill, it's just because you didn't put in, you didn't have the game, so you couldn't put in the time to level up your player. And that was one of the biggest flaws in the old system, is that it was very discouraging to any new players that want to play the game, any casual gamers that wanted to play the game, because they didn't want to put in, they might not have had the time to put in the hours that people do. They might not have had, they might not have found it early in the year. And then, if you pick up the game, say in March, you're going to be facing a lot of people who have their legend cards, or at least high enough level cards, where you really can't do anything, because the attributes for their players are just so much greater than yours that you're kind of, again, you're SOL. And that's where the leveling system, like, yes, you got rewarded for leveling up, but you got rewarded for like leveling up, and you got stuff for actually doing well in a game. And if you're facing people who constantly have guys who are just outskating you, you're going to have a lower grade because you're allowing more goals. You're not going to win as frequently, so you're not going to level up as much. You're not going to be able to score as much, so you're not going to be able to unlock boosts. And it's just this never-ending cycle that kind of, leaves players who are new to the game mode that want to try it later on in the year getting discouraged in 5-10 games and being like, all right, I don't want to play this. So that was kind of the main pros and cons to the old systems. While you had this really cool customization thing, and that you could level up your players and kind of grow your players as you play the game, that was really cool. And you had the end goals of getting your Legend 3, you had side goals along the way of earning boosts so you could build your player better and kind of make the best player build you could. It had the disadvantage that if you picked up the game, say in December, even a month or two after launch, you're going to be at a disadvantage. And for a lot of people that don't have the time to play the game, that was just like, hey, I don't want to play this because I'm just losing to players who have played the game more and have significantly better players than me, and I'm not going to be able to level up quickly, so it's not going to be worth grinding it out for me. So there is, for a hardcore gamer, that system works really well because you're sinking hours and games into the game mode, you're leveling up your card, which is really good. For a casual gamer, even, someone who's a fan of the franchise, even someone who's not as hardcore but still plays it a lot, like a core gamer, it's a huge turnoff because they want to play the game, but they might not have the time to be able to put in the hours that other people did, and being at that disadvantage constantly sucked, for lack of a better term. I mean, when I first played EASHL, I played in June, and I played it a lot. I think I played 50 games or so in my first like kind of time playing it, but it was frustrating because I sucked, and it wasn't myself that sucked. Is the fact that my player was literally a 60 overall player facing people who were 80 overalls, and again, a lot of those games there's nothing I could do, and it was just really frustrating. Like when we won a game, we celebrated, and we couldn't win very often because again, it was three of us that just started up late, and there's nothing we can do against people who have been playing since even 2 months prior. So that's kind of the pros and cons of the old system. The other thing, again, is that you did feel the attachment to customizing your player through progression. However, one of the things with that a lot of people tend to kind of like forget about is the fact that most people ended up running the same classes, and most people kind of ended up running the same 3 to 5 builds, which again isn't that great. If you're gonna have all this customization and progression, I think a lot of people remember that system and like that system better because of the pride attached to leveling up your character, as opposed to being like, hey, I can create my own character different from someone else. Most people use Grinder just because Grinder had the best skating attributes. So that's why a lot of it came down to that. And I think looking back on that old system, there were some flaws with it that moving forward, isn't a good system to have in the game. It's not good for the state of the game. It's not good to attract, casual gamers, even core gamers into the game mode and get them playing it more often. It sucked at that. And that's where one of the biggest complaints in the old EASHL system was that there weren't enough people playing it, or there weren't as many people playing sixes. And a lot of that came down to the fact that players, they'd start up the game and they'd just get frustrated because they'd be being outplayed by someone who just had a card or a player that was 20 attribute points better than theirs or could skate miles around them. Like that was frustrating. And I mean, I picked up the game the next year, started ESHL right away and enjoyed it, but I knew friends who picked it up halfway through the year and didn't enjoy it because they couldn't put in the time and effort to grind through, and they couldn't put in, kind of like they just got frustrated when they played because their player was bad. And while when they leveled up, they felt a little bit more attached to their player, there wasn't enough there to keep them invested in the game mode because they were just constantly worse than everyone else around them, and it was difficult to play. So that's the old system in a nutshell. Actually, that's not really a nutshell. That's a long speech on that. Let's talk about the new system, and the new system is set player classes. So for forward, you have Playmaker, Enforcer, Power Forward, Grinder, Sniper, and Dangler. On defense, you had 2 AD, Offensive Defenseman, and Enforcer. And in net, you had Hybrid Goalie, Stand-Up Goalie, and Butterfly Goalie. So those are kind of, you got to choose one at the start of every game, and that is a really good thing for new players. If you want to pick up and play the game in January after not playing EASHL at all, guess what? You're at the exact same level as every other player. At the end of the day, it's going to come down to your individual player skill and a bit of puck luck, because, I mean, hockey does have a lot of luck involved in it. So, for the most part, though, it came down to your individual player skill, kind of what classes you took, and your team composition more than anything. And that was really good because anyone can pick up and play. They can pick up and go into drop-ins whenever they want. They don't feel like they're at a disadvantage because guess what? You're not at a player overall disadvantage. The only disadvantage you're at is your personal skill, your IQ of the game, and just your familiarity with other players. So that ended up being the main huge advantage. I want to stress how important that is because by having that in there, more players are able to pick up and play the game, especially with EA Access on Xbox. They're able to say download NHL now and be like, hey, we have 3 of us, let's go play this online. And they're not playing with 60 overall skaters. They're not playing with 60 overall skaters against people who are, 75, 80 overall skaters. They're playing as the exact same, like, kind of balanced classes against people that have the exact same balanced classes. So it'll be a better user experience for it. And at the end of the day, they're going to get better at the mode through playing it more and not just through, ranking up their player a lot. It's a weird thing because it's just like, hey, for a hardcore gamer, I like the old system. I really do like it because you unlock the customization and progression and you feel attached to your player, unlike the new system. The new system doesn't have that. You don't feel as attached to your player in NHL 16 because, again, you don't progress your player. You don't have much customization. You don't feel attached to each attribute that you earn through winning games. You don't feel like your investment is going into the game at all. And it's just it became a casual mode for me this year, and it kind of became like that for a lot of players. And again, even the goals in the game were different. In the old system, you had the goals of getting to your Legend 3 card. You had the side goals to earn all the boosts and to make your player build better. So that was kind of, the goals of the old system, whereas the new system, it's just leaderboards. And for a lot of people, leaderboards are somewhat important, but not the end-all be-all. So, again, the old system did a lot better at catering towards the hardcore gamers because it had those goals and rewards for the people that sunk hours into the game. But because of the complaint of EASHL not being played a lot for hardcore gamers, it kind of brought into, all right, how can we fix this? And I think this is what EA really looked at, is they're just like, hey, if we strip it down to its core, if people aren't playing this game mode as much, like, say, for example, people that pick up the game in September play ESHL more than someone that picks up the game in March, and people in March don't even, touch the game mode, why is that? And again, it's very, very likely they looked at the player class and just like, bingo. And it kind of is true, because if you pick up the game in March, you're going to be able to play against people, who picked up the game in September now, which is really good. Again, it's really good at kind of transitioning the casual gamers into more hardcore gamers, which on a business side of things you want. And again, even on a player-based side of things, it's what you want. You want more people playing, you want to play more people, and it also helps you get better. So that is, at the end of the day, really good. So where the new system does fail, again, is the customization and progression. Like, it's a casual game mode this year, and it's one of the reasons why I didn't play a lot, is because it's casual. There is no incentive to just pick up and play the game and be like, hey, we should play 10-15 games of EASHL tonight so I can get my character or my player leveled up more. Instead, this year, it's just be like, oh, hey, 3 or 4 people are online, hey, let's play some EASHL for fun, let's go and hop on clubs for a little bit, and then it's just be like, okay, whatever. Like, you didn't get a reward for playing. And I think that's very important. And I think at the end of the day, that's where the player class division between people that want the old style and the new style kind of comes down to. It's the fact that, the veterans of ESHL, they want that old player class system back in because they felt rewarded for playing the game. The hardcore gamers that sink hours and hours of gameplay and their time into it got rewarded for it. However, in the new system, you don't. The only way you get rewarded for it is by leaderboards, and at the end of the day, certain people just don't want to play for leaderboards. And so instead of it being like, the old system was better because you had your custom player builds, it wasn't even the fact that you had your custom player builds. It's because of the fact that you felt attached to your player because you earned your attribute points, you earned your customization for it. And while the customization actually ended up, not being that relevant, because at the top levels, most people ended up using the same player builds anyways. So I get that, I understand that, and I understand why people want the old system in. However, I think the new system is going to be a lot better moving forward because it's easier for someone to pick up the game in December. You don't feel constantly obligated to play it. And heck, for someone who's in university that has homework and stuff, it's just like, hey, now I can go ahead, I can do my studies and stuff like that, and I can pick up and play with friends whenever. I don't feel like I'm, a drag on them. And that's really nice. So, The way to fix that is going to be through unlocking stuff, and it's going to be through getting rewards for playing the game. And so in the NHL 17 feature list, one of the things that was brought up was you progress through the all-new EASHL player rank system to earn badges and also unlock new customization items for your player, team, and even arenas in the most competitive and customizable EASHL ever. Now, this is something that is going to kind of change a lot of people's perspective on the player class system, because it's now all of a sudden you have the ability for someone to pick up and play the game whenever they want to. You can pick up and play EASHL whenever you want to now. You don't have to sink hours and hours into it to get a player that's competitive. You just can pick up and play against someone else who has the same player build as you, or someone, or at least a player build of an equal level as you, whenever you want to, which is good. But there's also now going to be the reward for you to progress through it and to unlock customization options for your player, your team, and your arena, which is really important for the hardcore gamers, because you're going to be rewarded for progressing through it. You're going to be rewarded for playing games, you're going to be rewarded for winning games, you're going to be rewarded for your side goals, and that's really important. And I think at the end of the day, that's where the EASHL player class thing, the division, comes from, is people feeling more attached to their player in the old system because of the attributes they gained, but it being a turnoff to new players because, you know, if you played in March, you were at a disadvantage to someone who started playing in 2 months before. So I think moving forward, the system's going to be better in the long run, because again, you can get the casual gamers in. Like, you can be with your team and say they see something really cool in an arena and they're just like, oh, hey, I want that. How do I get that? And then they're going to find out, okay, this is what I have to do to get that, and they're going to strive towards that. And that's going to convert your casual gamers, your fans of the game, your core gamers into the hardcore gamers, and it's going to get more people playing the game mode, because guess what? People that pick up the game at Christmas, people who pick up the game on the EA Access Vault on Xbox, they're going to be able to pick up and play right away. I said pick up and play a lot, but that's pretty much what it is. You're going to feel more connected to your player. You're going to be able to feel more connected to the game and your team. Like, this actually gives you an incentive to stay in the same team too, which is really cool. It's something that I think was lacking in the game mode as well. So anyways, that's kind of my thoughts on the player classes, and I think moving forward they're in the right direction. NHL 16 EASHL, it was a very good casual experience, but for a hardcore gamer it lacked a lot. And unless you participated in like the league gaming stuff, it was, you know, kind of just, it was a casual game mode. And so this year, I think you're going to see a lot more hardcore fans liking it and a lot of hardcore players liking it. If you found yourself not liking it, I'd heavily suggest giving it another chance this year, because you are going to have that opportunity to kind of progress through it, and you're going to feel more attached to your player and your team because you're earning stuff. And that's really important. I think that's kind of my thoughts on the player classes. This has been a really long commentary. Sorry about the length of it, but I figured it's something that I need to talk about, and something that's kind of fun to talk about. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, leave your comments and thoughts down below, because I think it actually is something that should be discussed, and should be discussed in a different manner than what it is, rather than this is bad, and instead of seeing it kind of from both sides. And I think I did a good enough job covering both sides in this. Let me know your thoughts again. Thank you for watching. As always, take it easy, and I'll catch you guys on the flop side.